let's talk about stressing your body. I'm not talking about emotional stress where you get anxious. I'm talking about hormesis. Hormesis is a fascinating thing that happens at the cellular level, and our body systems need it to stay awake and active and ready to do what they need to do. And I love this picture of this bird balancing itself between these two different branches with its skinny little legs. Can you imagine what's happening in the legs right now? They're probably shaking, right? It's stressing its legs out right now. But that's a good thing because those muscles are building and there's connections going up to the brain, right? And he's not going to hold this position forever, right? So hormesis is a low-level stress that helps keep our body systems on and ready to act. These body systems could be the mitochondria, hormones, the gut, different cellular systems, antioxidant systems. So what's special about hormesis is it's not long-term stress. It's intermittent, like exercise. You exercise for a little bit, and then you stop, right? It doesn't go on forever. And what happens when you have a hormetic stress is that you turn on the stress response genes, right? Hormesis is a signal from your environment that tells certain genes to turn on, and these genes are involved in turning on antioxidants, turning on inflammation, but for a short period, right? Because that stress is going to go away. Autophagy, which is this process of eating up older, more dysfunctional cells to make room for healthier cells to come into circulation, and also DNA repair. So all of these are good things that you would want to turn on for a short period of time. So how can you turn on hormesis? Here's some tips coming at you. So I want you to think about if you can do some of these things. Heat exposure, like, going into a sauna, right? Maybe that's not an option for many of us who are heat sensitive, but you turn on your heat shock proteins when you have a limited exposure to heat. Same with cold. There's a lot of talk about deliberate cold exposure and all of the good things that it does. So it is a short-term stress to the body. And as a result, you turn on many systems. And for anyone who actually does this, you might actually recognize that you feel good after one of these stresses. And so this summer I was traveling in Canada, and there was a glacial river near Banff National Park in Canada. And I was like, I got to try this. I dunked myself in for less than a minute. It was really mind over matter. But for the next 3 to 4 hours, I was like walking on clouds. I was happy. I was calm. My body felt good. And so that was an example of what hormesis can do with cold exposure. Now, you don't have to go jump into a glacial river. There's some studies that say if you can get your temperature in your home or your workspace 62 degrees, that can actually help with hormesis. It can also save you money because you're not overheating your home. By the way, best temperature for sleep is like 60 to 64 degrees. So if you're putting it at 68, it's one thing maybe that's not helping you sleep. So colder temperatures can be really helpful for our physiology. Fasting is another way to turn on hormesis. When you're constantly loading up on calories, you're actually not helping out your mitochondria and your hormone systems and your gut microbiome and your gut health. Having periods of time where you go without loading up your GI tract is actually another kind of hormetic stress. Now, you may or may not restrict calories, but a lot of people will do overnight fasting, where it's a fast between dinner and breakfast. If you can slowly get yourself to maybe 14 to 16 hours, that's a pretty good hormetic stress. And people love fasting. I talk about fasting in other places. I want always people to be careful, even with short fasts, especially if there's blood sugar issues. So be careful. We don't want to, all of a sudden have bad outcomes. Same with cold exposure. If you're going to do that cold shot in your shower, if you're a person with unstable blood pressure or your, vascular system is not super robust, you have heart problems, don't do that. The last thing I want is for you to pass out, hit your head, right? So here's another hormetic stress: exercise. You stress your body for a short period of time. You may even damage some muscles, which will all get repaired. post-exercise when the other genes kick in. So here are 3 ways you can turn on hormesis to stress your body systems. And one cool thing about exercise that I want to kind of highlight to you what happens at the cellular level is interleukins. These are sort of communication molecules of the immune system. IL-6 is actually inflammatory. During exercise, IL-6 goes up, but as a result, IL-10 goes up, and IL-10 is anti-inflammatory. So this is just one way that exercise dials down inflammation. Exercise also makes your mitochondria work better. It's a stress to your mitochondria because all of a sudden you're doing this extra activity where your body needs more energy. So the mitochondria go, oh no, we have to make more ATP molecules. So not only do they recalibrate how they're doing this work, but there's actually all of these fusion reactions that happen between different mitochondria. So exercise helps facilitate that. And if you are a person that struggles with fatigue, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, getting your mitochondria to work better is actually a really important strategy. So exercise can help get your mitochondria work better. So what's and while we're on the topic of exercise, what is the best exercise for brain health? And you might have some ideas about this, but I will say it is the exercise you will actually do. Okay. I don't care what the studies show. If you're not up for doing that exercise, it's going to do you no good. Okay. So think about what feels good to you, what you would look forward to, and that's what you do. But let me show you some of the data. HIIT, high intensity interval training, is magic. This is where you might do short sprints, or if you're on a bike, you pedal real fast. You're working at your maximal effort for a short period of time, usually not more than a minute. You're getting into anaerobic activity. You're using up all the oxygen, right? And now you have to flip over into anaerobic metabolism. When you do high intensity interval training, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, increases. And this is my favorite way to exercise. And every time I exercise, I imagine a halo around my head of BDNF just protecting my brain, creating more neurons, creating more connections between neurons. Repair happening. HIIT has been shown to improve cognitive effect, motor activity, your ability to move, and it helps people maintain their fitness. There is some data that HIIT can be safe for people with some disability due to MS, but this is something where you would have to work up to, maybe with a therapist, a physical therapist, a trainer. You'd want to be careful. This is not within the realm of possibilities for many of us with MS. If our ability to walk, for example, has been affected, or our ability to use our legs. So if this is not a level of intensity that you can get into, don't worry, I got other things for you. You could do VILPA, okay? Vigorous intensity lifestyle physical activity. That's what it stands for. And this is for people who are too busy to exercise. I know that excuse really well, actually. I'm actually very good at using excuses, but I also know how to catch myself and go, okay, that's an excuse. So you're working to close to your 80% of your maximum heart rate, but you're only doing it for 1 to 3 minutes. And you're doing this maybe 3 times a day. So throughout your workday, you can all of a sudden get down and do some push-ups, hold a plank, go up some stairs, do something that's challenging, go upstairs with your kid or your groceries. So you don't have to do it for 20 or 30 minutes. It's for 1 to 3 minutes, 3 times a day. And this has been shown. I didn't see any research or data on this for MS. It's kind of a new thing, but this study showed 2 to 3 bouts a day for 3 to 4 minutes showed lower all-cause cardiovascular and cancer mortality. So this is good for the brain also. So if this fits within your lifestyle better, then just do this. But please do something, right? Not exercising is not an option. And then resistance training is also important. And for some of us that have more limited mobility, we can do maybe resistance training with our upper extremities or lower extremities. This could be as simple as even resistance bands or very light weights. And resistance training increases neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to make new connections and to adapt to new environments. And then how much exercise do you need? These are recommendations from the Center for Disease Control and the CDC, and I've linked this below. 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise. This is for healthy adults. So if you have physical limitations, you're going to adapt this to what works for you. Moderate intensity, yes, you can do math to figure out if you're in the moderate intensity range, but who wants to do math when they're exercising? This is how you can gauge it. You can talk, you can carry a conversation, but you can't sing a song. And your other option, if you can't get into moderate, if you want to do high intensity, is to do 75 minutes a week of high intensity where you can't talk or sing. You don't have to do both. You do one or the other or some combination thereof. And if you can't do moderate intensity, that's okay too, but make sure you're getting in at least 150 minutes of low intensity, if not more. You're also supposed to work out all major muscle groups twice a week. These are the CDC recommendations for healthy adults. So it's always important to tailor your exercise program to your ability. There are adaptive exercises that physical therapists can help with. Physical therapy is well covered by insurance. Don't forget to ask your doctor for a referral to physical therapy because they can help you learn how to exercise in a way that's within your ability, and they can help you, progress as time goes by, as you become more fit.